Okay, awesome. All right, so it's 7:45 in Thailand right now, so we have 45 minutes in. So I'll try to keep the session as compact as possible because we're covering a couple of things from last week and then a couple of ideas from this week as well. And then we're good to go for this week. And we've gone through 2 weeks worth of May workshops this month, right? So super awesome, super excited about that. So to start off with, so there are 2 topics that we want to cover here today. The 2 topics are about the 8 steps to success, right? So that's the first very topic. And the second topic we want to talk about is the topic of productivity and how we can become more productive inside of Atomy and like build this whole Atomy business out, right? So this is the main 2 general ideas that we want to talk about here today. All right, so in order to start with the 8 steps to success. Let me briefly review what we've talked about last week, which was the 8 core. So last week, Friday, we talked about the 8 core, each step of the 8 core, what needs to be done, right? So let's review that just for a couple of minutes. And then we'll jump right into the 8 steps. All right, so based on the 8 core that we discovered last week, there are 8 parts to the 8 core, right? So the first step is reading, which is about reading and expanding your mind, right? You do that on a daily basis. Second part is watching videos, right? You watch videos, you watch training, seminars, courses to expand your ideas and your mind, right? 3 and 4, you attend meetings, right? And then through the meetings, you get to know more products. Then you'll get to use more of the products. Then step 5 and 8 core is to show the plan, right? 6, talk to consumers. 7, sponsor consultations. And 8, building trust, right? So, and these 8 core steps, they are available in this life scenario book as well. So the life scenario book is at my other spot, but this is the 8 core checklist that is available in the life scenario. So when you want to build out your Atomy business, right, the 8 core is a good place to start, especially when you work with new people or new members who come in and they want to build the business and everything, right? Then you can give them this 8 core process to run through and do, right? So when they check off each and every day, day 1, they've read, they watched videos, they attended meetings, use the products, share the products, show the plan, talk to consumers, sponsor consultations, build trust, right? Once you do all these 8, then you're already there. So today we want to talk about the 8 steps to success, and the 8 steps to success relates to the 8 core in a very high correlation. So the 8 core are just simple like action items that you can do on a daily basis, but the 8 steps to success is sort of the framework that holds the 8 core together. So to say that in step 1, for example, setting goals, you can set goals by writing, right? But in order to gain more ideas and more vision about goal writing, you need to read, right? So by reading, you gain more vision. By having more vision, you're able to set more goals, right? So we will go through the 8 steps to success here today, right? And this is part of today's session. So let me briefly switch to the 8 steps to success. Awesome. And let me briefly change one setting. Okay, so I'm at the 8 steps to success. Some reason I can't see you guys when I share the video. I want to be able to see you guys when I share my video. 1 second.
We see you.
Yeah, I know you guys see me, but I can't see you. Okay. All right, so regardless, I see a couple of you on my screen, so that's good enough. So I see how you guys react when I talk, right? So the 8 steps to success, how is that important? Now, last week we talked about the 8 core, and in the 8 core last week we also talked about habits, right? And with habits, daily habits, things that we do on a daily basis, we improve our lives like one step by step, right? So when we decide to do certain things on a daily basis, then that will improve our activity on a daily basis. And when we do that, like our life improves like slowly, step by step, right? So it's not something that ventures change a habit, right? Unless it's like a very strong habit kind of thing that you want to get rid of, right? And you want your life to change, right? But it's not really about that. It's about integrating like really simple things into your life that don't take much time, but with that you can like expand your life and expand your time as well, right? By getting to do more things. So we need to put these things, single things in mind. Now, the 8 steps to success in itself is the framework from start, step 1 to end, step 8, that you usually can think about and go through on a daily basis. So, and whenever you go through each step on a daily basis, you basically go through these 8 steps. And next week, we'll also be talking about how do we maintain this as well, right? But for the reason of doing this, we need to review it first and talk about what each step is, and then we'll know how we can work on that. So always keep in mind that the 8 steps is part of the 8 core, right? So 8 core is within the 8 steps. So there are more things that you can do in order to fulfill the 8 steps, right? The 8 core is just one single habit or one single action item that you do in order to fulfill the 8 steps. So again, as from step 1 to step 8, I'll go through this briefly. I have slides for each of these things, and we also have wisdom from President Park Han-gil, right, to share with us in these slides as well. So stay tuned, and if you have questions, just write it into the comment box, right? We will pick up your questions, or we can have an engagement session, Q&A session towards the end as well. Right, so firstly, the very first step is setting goals, right? And second step is commitment. I'm going to put these 2 steps together. So if you've attended our sessions for a while, every Monday we will talk about setting goals and commitment, right? So every Monday we will talk about how to achieve dreams, how to achieve success, right? And how to go through these 2 steps. So when you attend our Monday sessions, right, then you are partially doing these 2 steps with us. Third step is listing, right? In listing, you list things out, you list out your contacts, right? And we also talked about listing last week, Tuesday, right? So we will cover a little bit about that. Invitation, step 4 is about how to reach out, how to contact, right? And invitation we covered this week, Tuesday. So I hope you guys have attended that, and stay tuned until the end of the session because we'll be releasing the links for actually last week's recordings. So you can rewatch some of these videos and recordings as well. So invitation, so explain the business, right? Explain the business is sometimes abbreviated as STP as well. And STP usually stands for show the plan, right? But STP, in my perspective, also stands for share the product, right? So when you use the Atomy products, STP, share the products, right? You can share the products with them first, then you can share the plan with them, right? And then you can explain the business to them, right? So it doesn't need to be always about business. So keep that in mind. Follow up is about following up with your prospects, with your consumers, with your customers, right? So that they want to, or they know that you're attending them and serving them and like offering them things, right? And step 7 and duplication is about step 7 consultation. Step 8 duplication is about how to expand your business overall, right? So within consultation, you help to solve challenges, solve your own challenges by consulting with your upline and sponsors, right? And you help solve the challenges of your partners by consulting downwards with them, right? And duplication happens when you start to build trust, right? Trust building is part of the 8 core, but duplication also happens when we apply certain frameworks or certain ideas into the process so that others can duplicate it easier, right? And in network marketing, we understand if we do an activity and this activity can duplicate, then we can make sure that our partners and our teams can duplicate what we do, right? President Park Han-gil says it as cloning and copying, right? So if you want to copy a tree or clone a tree, right, it's a different process, right? So in order to create a new fresh tree from the ground up, you need to plant the seed. And that's what we want to do within Atomy, help planting seeds for all of our partners. All right, let's go through this. So in setting goals, right? So every Monday we would usually go through this goal setting session, and every Monday, like the start of May, we talked about the bucket list, right? And this week Monday we talked about the life scenario and the balanced life, right? So the goal here in setting goals is really to have a balanced life, and we talked about how to live well, how to love, how to learn, how to contribute, right, through the spirit, the soul, the body, and the mind, right? So this is what we do. So goal setting is in its fact simple, but we need to attend to this either on a daily basis, right? And we also need to expand our goals as well by reading, studying more, attending courses, seminars, things like that, right? So that we gain more ideas. And sometimes one single idea can help us catapult to the next step, right? So we always want to look for that one simple idea that we can implement into our life, our business, right? And sometimes it's a series of ideas, right? But this simple idea is what we're looking for. So CEO President Park and Gill said, if you dream vividly, it will definitely come true. If you move forward with this dream confidently, your future will change, right? So that's a quote from President Park and Gill. All right. So the second point, the second step in the 8 steps is commitment, right? So commitment, you get, commitment, sometimes this step is also translated as determination, right? You can also say motivation, inspiration, right? It's basically to have the energy to do the things that you want to do, right? So in goal setting, we set our goals, we set our dreams, we set the GPS for our lives, right? And commitment is really to start the engine and just driving there, right? You just turn left, turn right occasionally, right? You go up and down the hills, right? But it's a commitment that to walk through and follow through towards the goals. Now here again, 3 ideas about commitment. CEO Park and Gill shared with us that you need to be the center of influence. You need to be the center in your life, right? So that once you're the center in your life, you can help support other people. Other people will come to you for answers and questions and support, right? So we want to be the center in our lives and for other people as well. So President Park and Gill said, you should influence the people around you with your thoughts and ideas. You shouldn't let other people steer your life, right? Wisdom from President Park and Gill. He also said that positive thinking is one of his core ideas with everything, right? So as long as you have positive thinking, you have a growth mindset, right? Everything that you do can be expanded. There's no right and wrong within things. There's just a question, okay, how can we make it better? How can we improve it? How can we get to the next step better, right? So positive thinking catapults all of that. And I always say that in my other sessions, like I was talking about energy as well. And I think we talk about energy next week, Monday. Yes, next week, Monday, we talk about energy and how to build energy, how to have energy to fulfill these goals and dreams, right? And the thing is, a power plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. Right, so keep that in mind. A power plant doesn't have energy; it generates energy. So in the same way, our body, we don't really have energy. We generate energy continuously, right? We burn calories. We have this energy within us, right? So if you want to be sad, we can be sad, right? But if you want to be happy, we can generate the happiness and be happy, be happy, be happy, right? It's our choice. It's something we can do, right? So positive thinking. So we need to spread the words about positive thinking, also spread the products as well, share the products, right? So last wisdom in commitment by CEO Park and Gill, you will run into people who try to talk you out of doing this business. If that's the case, you just disregard them and move on to the next person, right? So if they say no, 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 doesn't matter who's next. And you can always follow up with the people who said no before, right? There are many, many cases. Even I know Ma'am Lim, who's with us, right? She didn't join Atomy right away when the first time she got asked, right? It took her some time to join Atomy as well, right? So even our leaders, they didn't say yes right away. So you can't expect like your members or your people to say yes right away as well, right? So it takes some time, but we need to be willing to work hard to do that. All right. So in listing step 3, it is about listing up and putting all the links down. And we talked about this last week, Tuesday as well. So listing is literally about writing all the people down. And there's a process to this as well, how you can list down and add more information to the people that you list down as well, right? So you know their birthday, their excuse me, if they have family members, if they have where they live, what their preferences are, what their favorite food are, right? If they're vegetarian, vegan, or really, really, really like Korean barbecue meat, right? So that's what you want to know. So that's what we also want to list down as well. Not just the name and phone number, but a little bit of more data so that we know who they are. But here again, do not list the people who might be interested in doing the business. Just put down everyone who is there, right? So it is your network list, and it's not only about Atomy and building your Atomy business, but it's also about you building relationships, right? So, and these relationships you can use for the rest of your life as well, right? So once you do your Atomy business, right, and once you reach Imperial Master, you'll end up with all these relationships, and those relationships will be very, very valuable, right? Imagine you have a team, even if not all your team is Imperial Master, right? But imagine you have a team of like hundreds of people who are like Shan Rose Master Plus, right? Each of them earn $10,000 a month, right? That's a pretty good team and pretty good life to be in, right? So like pretty good circle to be in. So we need to build relationships with that. Again, President Parkingill shared with us that the speed at which you inform the people on the list will determine your success as well, right? So of course, if you just contact one person a day, after 100 days, you have contacted 100 people, right? But if you contact 10 people a day, it will be 1,000 people in 100 days, right? It's simple math. So law of own mind, telling them is my own mind, doing it is not their own mind. So whatever they perceive out of it is up to them, doesn't matter. But as long as we tell them, as long as we let them know about Atomy, this is our part of the job. So here again, President Park and Gill said, if you want to achieve something challenging in life, make them happen in an intensive manner, right? This is list up. And this week, Tuesday, we talked about imitation, contact, how to reach out, right? And also this, I will publish that video and send it to you guys from this week. But the main idea is really to build a conversation, build a relationship. We talked about how to find them, add them, and message them, right? We talked about the chord, building a chord between them, C, finding commonalities, right? O, talking about occupation, R, talking about recreation, and D, talking about dreams, right? So you can talk about all of these things, and then you can ask them questions. This Tuesday, we specifically talked about a review system to give our list 5 stars, like when we talk to them, right? So when they are more responsive, we can give them more stars. If they don't talk to us at all, they don't deserve any stars, right? So this is what it's about. Again, here, President Park and Gill's wisdom, it is important that you are committed to a certain number of phone calls a day consistently. What is really considered working is to make phone calls, meet with people, and attend training, right? So here is actually three action steps that needs to be written down, right? So most important parts of this business is to make phone calls, basically talking to other people, meeting with people, and attending trainings. The temperature must go over 100 Celsius for water to boil. So consistency is important, right? You need to reach 100%. All right, step 5 of the 8 steps is to explain the business. So in this list is explain the business, but I see this step as threefold, right? So the first fold is to STP, to share the product, right? The second part of STP is to share the plan, and then you can share to them or explain to them more about the business, right? But there are 3 parts that you always want to talk about within Atomy. So the first part is the company, right? What the company is, who the company is. It's Atomy. How many years has it been open? It has been open for 12 years this year, right? And rated 1.6 billion US dollars in sales globally, right? So those few numbers, right? But the main concept is really the philosophy of prestige product and the strategy of masstige. But we talk about absolute quality and absolute price, right? So these are the things that you want to talk about when you talk about the company. And if you want to go a little bit deeper in there, here it is noted as Carry and Colmar B&H, right? I highly, highly encourage you to learn more about Carry and Colmar B&H, that you see it here. So these 2 companies are basically the founding companies of Atomy. I mean, not Atomy, but like most of the products that come from Atomy are coming from these 2 particular companies, right? So that's very, very important. So the second part are the products, right? So absolute quality, absolute price. Again, it is not, it's from the company side, it is the strategy, but from the product side, it's actually all the results and implementation. When you get to use all these products, you actually feel the quality, you feel that the price is a good price for the quality, right? And it's absolute value. And there's also a term of Atomy, a brand that we can trust and use, right? This is what we want to focus upon. Then thirdly is the compensation plan, right? And in the compensation plan, especially when you talk to new people, right? We oftentimes remember as leaders, because we want to give everyone like the best value as possible, right? So we want to give like the whole compensation plan. You can earn this much, you have this many ranks, you get this bonus, this commission, that commission, right? But remember that this will overwhelm especially new people, right? So the question is then, what are the most important parts of the compensation plan that we need to share, especially with new people? Once they're ready to learn more about it, yeah, they can watch like an hour compensation plan video and get to know all the ins and outs, right? But when we as distributors have a conversation, right, with somebody, like what are the important points that we need to explain in Show the Plan, right? So I will actually cover that next week, Tuesday, right? So I hope you attend next week, Tuesday, for this. So I will talk about what exactly to share and what to talk about. So attend next week, Tuesday, for that. Awesome. So the fourth part is the Atomy vision, right? So the vision is about the future and how you see the future of Atomy, right? And in the vision is also the success system of Atomy as well. Keep in mind the one-day seminar, the Success Academy, right? These workshops, the Zoom workshops here and there, right? This is all part of the Atomy vision and becoming this global distribution center that everybody can access to, everybody can gain the benefits of using this Atomy system, right? This is the vision. But more importantly than that, when you share this vision with other people, right, you need to share your vision, right? Remember that, because people, they don't care too much about other people's vision when they talk to you. When people talk to you, they want to know what you think, what you feel, how you yourself see the future, right? So you need to think about how you see and feel this Atomy going to be part of your life, right? So for me, for example, like generating 3 generations of income within Atomy is like a no-brainer, right? I'm going to work on Atomy for the next 3 to 5 years. I'm going to be Imperial Master, then I'm going to retire, work on something else, right? But this is basically part of the system, right? So I want to share this vision with most of the people. So, right. But for you, you have your own vision. So you need to think about what vision to share for yourself. And this is also good practice for you. So once you become successful, once you get on stage, once the Indian headquarters or Philippine headquarters or Thai headquarters or any Atomy headquarters calls you to come on stage, right? Then you're prepared because you already have a vision for Atomy, like your own vision, right? So that's very, very important. So 4 parts to explain about Show the Plan, share the product, show the plan, explain the business, and we'll be talking more about this next Tuesday, right? So come next Tuesday as well. All right, so in follow-up, right? Follow-up is one of the most important parts, and there's one generic number in the sales industry that you need to follow up with a customer at least 5 to 7 times for them to make one decision, right? So keep that in mind. It applies for us as well. When we talk to people only once or twice, right? If you get a yes on the very first time, then you need to expect the law of averages, right? Because when you get a yes on the very first time, expect to follow up on somebody for at least 20 times, right? So keep that in mind, right? But the average number is roughly 5 to 7 times. When you follow up with somebody 5 to 7 times, then they're more likely to join the business and join you. But here, wisdom of Leo Park and Gill, he said that make a phone call within 48 hours of meeting to check up on the new member, right? You really need to clear their doubts about the products and business explanations by calling them quickly and reassuring them, right? And this also becomes important, especially when they use a new product that they have never used before, right? And sometimes, like some of the products, they're a bit, I mean, not complicated, but like there are some process like step 1, step 2, step 3 for using, right? For example, the new synergy ampoule, right? I don't know if that particular person is here, but sometimes people don't know that they need to press the synergy ampoule at the top for the liquid to come down, right? So it's good to follow up on the customer and ask them, how was the product? Did you like it? Did you don't like it? What did you like the most, right? Just ask them a couple of questions and see how it goes. Awesome. So step 7, consultation, right? In consultation, there's 2 ways. So we as leaders, we have sponsors, right? So what we need to do as good members and good leaders, we need to consult with our sponsors. So we need to sit down with our sponsors at least like once a week, right? Our sponsors are our accountability partners too, right? They want us to succeed, but sometimes they don't know how to help us. So it's important for us to sit down with them, share with them our story, and share with them what are we going to do, right? So that they know like how they can put us into their big picture of a plan, right? And this works for us as well. When we have team members in our downline, we need to consult downwards. We need to ask our downline and our partners, hey, you know what's up? How are things going? How's your 8 core? How's your 8 steps? How many people you've talked to? How many products have you used, right? So we need to go down there and help them resolve some challenges they have. And they will come to you and talk about this. And we will talk more about consultation towards the rest of this month as well. So next week, Friday, and the Friday afterwards, we'll talk more about consultation. But here, wisdom of President Park and Gill, right? When somebody says, I don't know anyone, then President Park and Gill says that that's because they don't have a list of people. So you need to sit down with them and write out a list together, create a consultation log for each person on the list, and help contacting their networks, right? So this is one of President Park and Gill. So more wisdom from President Park and Gill. So B, no one would register as members, right? And President Park and Gill said, you did not explain about the company vision. That's why it's important to practice your company vision. If you have a vision, if you see a future and how this future applies to your life, right, then people would register more, right? And see, there's hardly any sales, right? In here, CEO Park and Gill's wisdom, you are not repeat consumers yourselves yet. When advertising our products, emphasize the best features and sell the good results with your heartfelt passion, right? This is wisdom of President Park and Gill. And here, last one on consultation. When your downline comes to you and said, my downline is not getting bigger, right? Then President Park and Gill says, either you're not joining the system, right? Which means 100% of the people with little power can still be incredibly successful through the Atomy system, right? And then another part is newcomers don't feel welcome and leave, right? President Park and Gill said, in Atomy, you must serve others with humility. You must lower yourself, let go of your ego and serve others. You should embrace taking losses. Don't be afraid of losing money. Don't think about racing against your partners, right? These are wisdoms from President Park and Gill. All right, last step, last wisdom from President Park and Gill on the 8 steps, right? And we'll be talking more about these 8 steps throughout our session. But here, last step, duplication is about duplicating things. It's about having our members, our team, being able to do the things that we do, right? So, and one of the most important things that we need to do is to attend the events, attend the meetings, learn about the products, share the products, right? So these are the things we need to do. Here, CEO Park and Gill shares with us, do exactly like successful people did when they first started. Make up your minds to follow in their footsteps for good duplication. The original version must also be good. If you don't see yourself as good example to your partners, you must change the original version of yourself, right? So you need to become successful and achieve that part of success, right? So very,
Mr.
very
V,
important. Mhm.
I have a suggestion
Yes.
from Mr. Korean. He wanted to know about the third part. If possible, at the end, maybe you can explain more about it as well. So the third part, step 3, this
Step 3
Mr.
listing.
Yes,
Awesome. Thank you for asking, Mr. Korean or Miss Korean. Uh,
Korean, yes.
Mr. Korean. So first point is that, so step 3 is listing. One thing is that we've talked about it last week, Tuesday, and we have a recording of that. So I will be publishing and sharing that recording, especially about step 3 listing, right? So you can watch that. But step 3 is about listing, and we can quickly go back here, right? But listing out your contact, listing out your network is simply about you having a database, you having some sort of system to take care of your people, right? So the people that you contact, the people that you reach out to, right? So for some people, it's a simple notepad. For some people, it's like A4 paper. Some people use like a phone note system or Google Contacts or something, right? Depending on what it is. But the key part is that we want to write down key information about the people that we contact. For example, the age, the birthday, how many family members they have, how many kids they have, what do they like to eat, what don't they like to eat, right? What presents do they like, which products do they like, right? So all these things that we need to write down. So in terms of products, it's also good to write down which product they've used already, which products they haven't used, right? It is a system about list management, right? So that's a professional version. So listing is not about just writing the names down. Listing is about list management, where we take care of our list in a, like, big companies use customer relationship management systems, right? They invest tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to take care of the information of their customers, right? So we need to do that as well. But for us, we don't need to invest too much. Like a simple, like A4 paper would work as well, right? If we just write our customer details down. Yeah, but thank you very much for asking. So we will cover like the video for the listing specifically that we talked about last week's workshop. So we will update that. I'll send you guys the link after this. And we will actually, we're going to publish all the videos now. So there has been a lot of requests about, whether you guys going to publish the workshop videos. So we're going to publish
I have
it now.
shared last week's Monday one about the live scenario. So in case the person you want to see, you can also take a look at the live scenario as well. The link that I've shared from Mr. B.
Thank you for sharing. I'm going to share it towards the end of the session so that you guys don't just click on the link and leave us. But stay here, right? So, but we will share all the links towards the end of the session as well. Thank you so much. Awesome. So the last part of this 8 steps to success, and we'll cover this again next week, Monday, actually. On Monday, we will talk about how we can maintain this live scenario, this workbook as well. Part of it is how to maintain the 8 steps to success. And there's an assessment specifically inside of this live scenario book, right? And when you do this assessment every month, right, you will like rate yourself. How good were you in goal setting, 1 to 5? How good were you in resolution setting, 1 to 5, right? So you can do all of that. So we will talk more about this Monday next week. Right. So this was one portion of the 8 steps to success, right? So one of the ideas we want to talk about, okay, one process that we need is from new members, we need the 8 core system, right? The 8 core are some simple activities, simple steps, habits that we can do. We can teach the 8 core to like anyone. The 8 steps, on the other hand, is a more professional framework, right? So it takes some time for somebody to understand it. So to teach a new member about the 8 steps right away and have them run through it, I mean, it would be fine if they're professional and they've done something like that before. If they've worked in a sales organization before, then that would work. But for the average person who've never really worked in big companies, big roles in a sales position, something like that, doing like this whole 8 steps might be overwhelming. That's why the 8 core is perfect for new members. And then over time, you'll transition them to the 8 steps as well, which is also in the live scenario as well. So when you actually open up the live scenario, the 8 core is like this daily table. Do I have it somewhere? The 8 core is like this daily table. Here. The 8 core is like this daily table that somebody has to fill out from, right? So every day you need to like tick one. I read, I watch videos, I attend meetings, right? So this is activities based, right? And 8 steps is like also very strategic based. But the main idea is that in each step, there are a lot of things that you can do as long as you follow the process, right? Within the step, there are a lot of tactics that you can do. So you can see each step as a strategy, sort of, right? So you have 8 strategies, and under each strategy, you have different, like 5 tactics, 10 different tactics, right? There's so many ways how to contact people, how to approach people, right? How to present, how to share products, right? So think of each step as a strategy behind it, right? And all the individual things you do under the step as activities or tactics that you can do. And what time is it? 8:18. So let me just briefly go through the productivity sheet. The productivity are a series of questions, right? So I'm not going to talk too much about the productivity, because the idea of productivity is for you to like implement all of this, and in a way for you to understand how to use it, right? And how you can take whatever you learned up to this point and make it into something where you benefit out of it, where you progress out of it, you follow your dreams, you follow your goals, you make things happen, right? So this is what productivity is about. So for some of you who have attended our sessions before, so we talked about habits clearly, and we've already talked about one habit, which was clarity, right? So this week, Monday, we talked about clarity. So we'll release that video if you want to rewatch it again. But in seeking clarity is about seeking the goals and understanding what exactly it is that we need and want in our lives, right? So when we have the clarity to have this vision of, okay, I want this, I want that, I don't want this, I don't want this, but I want that, right? Then we have more clarity of what we want. And clarity and this vision for life is personal to you, right? So what you see in your life, right, might not be the same of what your partner sees. So a lot of communication needs to happen. That's why consultation is very important, to like align the vision, align the thinking and ideas and things like that, right? Very, very important. All right, so the 8 steps, 8 core are very, very much activity based. So the following is a habit of productivity, right? So how can we become more productive? And they're about more about their questions. So I'm going to do less talking, and so that we can do more thinking, right? So I will show each slide. I will briefly talk about it, very short. You can take a screenshot, or you can write the slides down. I can't share this slide because the slides are particularly part of it's actually part of Brendan Burchard's coaching program. So I'm part of that program. So I'm sharing, I can use it to educate, but you might not be, I can't share the slides with you or the questions with you, but you can screenshot it. No pain and no worries with screenshotting, right? Everybody screenshots these days. Awesome. So we have Mr. Vijay Lakshmi. Very nice explained, Mr. B. So proud of you and proud to be a part of the team. Thank you so much, Ms. Lakshmi. Super awesome for you to join us. All right, let's go right into the productivity so that we don't lose much time and we can finish this session on time as well. Productivity, right? Awesome. So let me put the slides up. So again, the following slides are basically a series of questions and statements. So what you need to do here is basically think about how, like, everything you've learned up until now are things that you have acquired through like extensive effort to learn. Like you practice the skill, you spend so much time reading, watching videos and everything, right? So we want to like put everything together and define what is the things that we really need to work on and the most important parts of the things. So again, the following things are slides with questions. Write them down. Maybe I can briefly actually copy and paste it into the chat box as well if you want to copy paste that, right? That would be fine. But take screenshots. That would work best. All right. So the 6 habits that we've are going to be talking about in this month's May. So this Monday, we already talked about clarity. So this clarity we've talked about on Monday already, right? And in part of clarity, just to briefly review, it is about seeing the spirit, the soul, and the body environment very, very clear. Like we need to know how we make use of the spirit, we make use of the soul, how we make use of our body, and how do we share back to the environment? How do we serve in humility, right? So these are important parts that we need to look into. But for today, we will talk about increasing productivity. One second. So, so here's the first question I would like you to note down and answer for yourself, right? So the first question is, when was a time in your life you were the most productive? And how did you get so much done then, right? So write this question down, take a screenshot. So the importance of this question is that there was a time in your life where you were extremely productive. There was a time in your life where you could get like the most things done, and you were even wondering and confused about yourself. How did I do all of that, right? But for some reason you were inspired, you were motivated to do these things, right? But the key question, key part of this question is that for you to think and feel how it was to be that productive in the past, right? So think about one of those days, one of the things, one of the projects that you have been very, very productive, and remember how that felt like. Remember in your body how that felt like. Awesome. So the second question here, where do you feel you are not being productive enough in life, in your personal life, and why? In your professional life, and why? So two-part question, right? For your personal life, for your career, your professional life, right? We need to separate that. But this is about thinking, okay, where am I lacking? And it's also part of clarity as well. We need to be very, very clear where in our life we are lacking, right? So that we can either remove that distraction away, or we can refocus our energy to different parts of our lives, right? So two-part questions for your personal life, right? So for your personal life, your family, your partner, your relationships, right? And for your professional life as well, right? Two-part question, take a screenshot, write it down. Awesome. Third question. What do you really feel is most important in your mission achievements right now? Are you moving towards it at the pace you really, really want, right? So we've talked about bucket list and life scenario. So I hope you have a bucket list and life scenario already, right? So, but out of all of these things, right, what do you really feel is your most important mission achievement right now, right? What you want to achieve right now, and how are you, or are you actually moving towards that step, towards that goal that you have set, right? So write this down again, and we won't have time to be talking more about this in this particular session, but tonight and tomorrow, just think about these questions, right? And how you can apply these questions, or how you can modify and adjust your life in accordance, right? Awesome. So fourth question, and then we'll cover a couple of tips and tools that we can use to improve our productivity. Right, fourth question, what distractions or competing interests seem to keep you from getting more done? And how could you minimize them? Right, so there are always some parts in life where like you're spending so much time on certain parts, but they don't really get much done, or they're not really the main thing, right? So they're like sort of competing with your energy as well. So you want to refocus your energy to whatever your dreams and goals are, right? You refocus your energy and focus on those things that are important. All right. Awesome. So these are 4 introductory questions to productivity, and they're part to set up like your thinking and your mindset. And you can use these questions with your team as well. So when you need to sit down with your team, talk to them about productivity, right? You can ask them these questions as well, so that they have the clarity on how they can improve their life, right? And also, of course, you can ask these questions for yourself as well. Very, very important, right? But okay, for the last few minutes, not last few minutes, but for the next few 5 to 10 minutes, I want to just briefly go through steps. So there's 3 practices that we can do, right? That in order to increase our productivity, right? So whatever we want to do in our lives, there are 3 things that we can just like go through. We can ask questions, statement, right? So that we can go through. The very, very first thing is to focus on the things that matter the most, right? So we need to focus on the outputs that matter, right? And within Atomy, there's certain things we can do. In other parts of your life, there's certain things that you can do that are more important, and certain things that are less important. Second thing is to chart your next 5 moves, right? And we're going to be talking more about that. And third part is to get really good at key skills, right? We'll be talking more about this too. All right, so increasing the output that matters. So our goal here really is to determine what matters the most, right? And whatever we do in our daily lives, when we have a to-do list, when we have our bucket list, our dream list, we need to prioritize things. And we need to know, okay, when we do this, we get this achievement, but when we do this, we get less out of it, right? And when we have the clarity to actually overview and oversee all of that, then it becomes easier when we do the daily interactions or daily activities in our lives. So the very first part in increasing outputs that matter is to really figure out what the outputs are that matters the most to your career, right? So since we are talking about Atomy, since we're talking about business, we need to think about what the outputs are that matters most to our career, especially right now, right? So there are certain things that like President Pankil talks about in Atomy, certain things about 8 steps to success, auto sales master, 8 core, right? There are a lot of things and a lot of activities, right? But for us ourselves, because our journey is different. Like your journey in Atomy is a different stage. My journey in Atomy is a different stage, right? So I can't just tell you, do this, do that. But you need to figure out for yourself, like, what is the output that matters to me right now? Because it also needs to matter for your heart as well, because what you do needs to come from inside your heart, right? So you need to think about that and be clear about that. Next portion of this, increase outputs that matter, is that some things I could stop doing so I can focus more on Atomy right? So maybe there's some things that I'm doing on a daily basis and I do them for fun and they don't have much meaning, but I spend considerably amounts of time on them, right? So maybe if I shift those times around, right, I stop doing those things, then I can spend more time on Atomy as well. Now, this becomes important for your leaders when you want to negotiate the time with your team as well, right? So when you have team members that tell you, I don't have time, I have so much work during the day, right? This question becomes important. You need to sit down with them and ask them, what are the things that you could stop doing so that you can make more time, right, for building the dream, right? So keep that in mind. Very, very important. All right. Third part of increasing outputs that matter. So the percentage of my weekly time I will allocate to Atomy is just a certain amount of time, and the ways I'll make that happen are, right, also very important when you want to bring new team members in, right? You want to allocate your time, right? So you want to allocate your time for your business, right? Because we're talking here about Atomy, we mentioned Atomy, but for everything in your life, you want to try and allocate your time, right? Like you can even go that extreme as the time to wake up, the time you work out, the time you brush your teeth, the time you have your breakfast, the time you have your first meeting, things like that, the time you have lunch, right? So you can literally schedule out your whole day and allocate the time for your life, right? But what's important for us here is that you allocate a certain time for Atomy as well, so that you can focus upon Atomy. Awesome. So the next practice, chart your 5 moves, right? So briefly going through this, it's 8:30 in Thailand already. Wow. Time passes by fast. Fast. All right, chart your next 5 moves. So here, what's important is that I don't know if some of you are chess players, right? I'm not really a particular good chess player, but a chess player practices or charts the next 15 to 20 moves, right? A very, very professional chess player, they know the next 15 to 20 moves, right? If I play chess, I only know my next 2 moves, right? But a professional chess player knows the next 15 moves, right? So what this means is that for our lives, we also need to know what are the 5 big moves that we want to make. So we need to chart it out, and charting it out means creating a chart for it, creating a plan for it, right? So here, a couple of things we want to take a look at. So the biggest goal or dream I have that I need to plan out right now is, right? So some of you might have a bucket list. I hope all of you have a life scenario, right? And in your life scenario or in your goal paper or like vision board, right, you have a goal, you have goals in your dreams, you have goals in your dreams, you have dreams and goals in your life, right? And you want to, like, they have been stuck there in your brain, and you might have written that goal down, but you might not have actually sat down to sit about all the things that needs to happen for that goal to happen, right? So it's sort of like project management. Like if you work in a company and you want to plan out a project, right, you need to plan out the big things that are going to happen within that dream. What are the things that you need to do? What are the things that others need to do, right? So that needs to be charted out and planned out, right? So we need to think about the 5 moves that would help me progress swiftly towards accomplishing that dream, right? So when you have a dream, right, think about it, and what are the 5 things, right? The 5 moves that you need to do so that you can get to the next step, right? And once you have clarity upon that, then you can take action upon that, right? So 5 moves that would help me progress swiftly towards accomplishing that dream. right? The timeline for each of these 5 moves, right? So in Atomy, in the live scenario, there's actually a monthly planner as well, right? So you can use that. But for each of your goals and dreams, if you can just write down the top 5 activities or the top 5 moves that you could do to achieve that, right? Then you are already a step farther. And then when you actually put a timeline upon that, when you know, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that next week, I'm gonna do this, then the week after, I have to wait for that person to come back to me for this and that, right? Then you have more clarity about that. Now, the next 5 things is you can't do it alone. So you need to have people around you. And here, a suggestion is 5 people who have achieved that dream, who I could study, seek out and interview or model after, right? So many of our goals and dreams have been achieved by other people already, right? We don't need to recreate the wheel. We don't need to recreate the whole cycle, right? We can just simply study from the people who already have achieved that we want, right? And then it will like speeden up our success curve so much faster because we learn from them, we learn from mistakes, we learn from what the things that they did, that they don't did, right? So that we can achieve our success faster. Right. So the less important activities or bad habits I'm going to cut out of my schedule so that I can focus more time on the 5 moves in the next 3 months include, right? So there are some things that you might do in your life that you want to cut out of, and they don't really benefit to your career, to your life, or to your business, right? So maybe those things you can just like, I'm gonna not do this for the next 3 months, right? I'm just gonna focus on this goal and dream, right? And then once afterwards, I can still like go back and doing that, right? Whatever it is, right? But we can sort out bad habits so that we can focus on our good habits, right? On our 8 core. All right, last practice for productivity, right? So one of the things about productivity is for us to get really good at the things that we want to get good at, right? So if we have goals and dreams to achieve certain things, right, then in order to achieve them, we need to practice some skills or become really good at certain skills in order to achieve them. Now, one of my things that I want to become is I want to become a good speaker for Atomy, for my life as well. On top of it, in case some of you might not know, I just got certified as a holistic cancer coach as well, right? So I want to become a good speaker, share education, share information, things like that, so that people can learn from it and become and use this information, become better at the things that they want to do. Right. So, but for you yourself, your personal journey, you need to think about the things that you want to become good at, right? So what are the things that you want to become good at? So you need to think about that. And especially if in Atomy, if you want to become really good in Atomy, you need to think about what are the 5 skills that I need inside of Atomy to become really good at Atomy. Awesome. So yeah, so the 5 skills that will help you advance, right? So you need to think about, and if whatever these skills are for you, right? If it's presenting, communication, reaching out, or even simply like creating presentations in computer, like whatever the skill is, right? Focus on the skill, improve it on a daily, weekly basis so that you become better at it. Yeah? In a year, in 3 years from now, in 5 years from now, if you focused on that skill literally every day, just imagine how awesome you would be in 5 years, right? Super amazing. So just think about what the 5 skills would be that you need in order to get closer to your goals and dreams. So simple steps I could take to improve those skills include, right? So once you've decided what skills there are, just figure out the simple steps in order to start those skills, like practicing them every day, right? So that you can better and better it, right? I think Bruce Lee said, like, he doesn't fear a man who's practiced 10,000 kicks, right? Bruce Lee fears the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks, like the same kick 10,000 times, right? So what's really important is to practice the same thing over and over again so that we become good at that thing, right, that we want to focus upon. All right, so very last thing, right? We can't do it alone. Everything in life is a team business, it's a team thing, right? So we need coaches and mentors as well, right? And within Atomy, we have the privilege to learn from our sponsors, to learn from the people who have succeeded. Like yesterday, we had the session with Imperial Master Hong, right? So we have the privilege to learn from all these leaders who have gone through, like, they started 12 years ago, right? Mr. Hong started as one of those first few members in the very first meeting, right, in Atomy, right? But we as ourselves, because we are starting to walk after their footsteps, right, we need to have them as coaches and mentors. So first of all, we need to seek them out, right? We need to seek our sponsors out. We need to seek other sponsors out within Atomy, learn from them. And there's so many of them, right? But the point is that so we need to seek them out so that we can improve those skills. So we need to look out for the skills and like sort of mimic, model what they do, right, so that we become better at it. So, and the main question then, when you meet them and when you engage with them, then prepare your questions as well, so that you can study more from them and you can learn specifically the things that will help you bring to your next step, right? So the main point here is that we need the mentors, we need coaches in our lives as well, right? And the most important part here is that the privilege here is that we inside of Atomy, we have these coaches everywhere. So in this workshop, we have sponsors and leaders here, right, who are ready to give it their all to like teach us and help us like get to the next step, right? And we have like the Atomy channel, the YouTube channel, Facebook channel, with so many leaders on there to learn from, right? So just figure out what the the key skills are that you need to achieve, right, in order for you to get to the next step. Awesome. So this week we've covered a lot again. So particularly today, we've talked about 8 steps and productivity, right? So productivity is a skill, it's a habit, right? It just needs to be practiced literally every day, right? And then you'll become better and better. And so over the next 2 weeks, we will cover the rest of the habits. So there are 4 more habits on this list, right? So we'll do that next Monday. We'll talk about energy, and every Monday and Friday we'll talk about habits throughout the week. Again, you have our May schedule, right? So if you want to know what we'll be talking about on each day, you can just look up the schedule and just come on the days where you want to learn more about, right? But remember, every Wednesday we have the product day. So when you want to come in and share about products, share your product knowledge and things like that, right? Come in every Wednesday as well. Especially on Wednesday, we'll probably have more presenters here, right? So if you have consumers who wants to come on Wednesday, yeah, invite them on Wednesday. Right? So again, thank you so much for joining in here today. So this week was a very good week, also long week for some of you. I've seen your faces a couple of times in many other Zoom meetings, right? So welcome to our session. Super grateful, super thankful for being here, right? We will continue again next week according to the schedule. For now, for today, thank you so much for joining. Have a great day.